Dang it! Why aren't they fixing this road? Well, that helps me understand why and what you do. Thanks for taking the time to explain this to me and letting me know where I can find more answers. I'll probably have more questions after I do a little research. Thanks for the offer to call back to the Public Works office. Okay, thanks. What was it he said? Something about why our roads don't last forever. Let's see. He said something about weather and loads affecting our roads.
Roads have their greatest strength in the winter. The water trapped in the base and subgrade is frozen solid, adding to the strength of the pavement. Then in the spring, the base and subgrade begin to thaw out, and our pavements become much more vulnerable. When the air temperature reaches about 35 to 40 degrees for several days in a row, we have a layer of soggy, water-logged base material under the paved surface. When a loaded truck comes along, it's easy to see what's going to happen. With reduced support from the underlying materials, the surface layer deflects more and wears out faster. We're all familiar with the result: pothole season.
Ah, another reason to hate winter. Now, what was that about loads?
While intuition may tell us roads are solid and immovable, that's not really the case. Every road is impacted by each vehicle that passes over it. Here's proof. This gauge measures the amount of bending or deflection caused by the weight of a vehicle. As the truck approaches, notice that the gauge first swings to the right. That means the road surface actually moved upward a small amount in a ripple effect caused by the approaching tire. Now we'll restart the action. The gauge swings to the left as the truck moves over the pavement. That means the pavement is being deflected downward. After the truck passes, the pavement rebounds to its original position. This cross-section of a road gives us a somewhat exaggerated but still representative look at what we just saw. Notice that all of the layers of the pavement are affected by each pass of the truck. The heavier the truck, the greater the impact on the road. The result of repeated deflection is progressive deterioration of the pavement. Pavement is a consumable. It's consumed primarily by the vehicles that all of us drive. The more vehicles using a road, the shorter the life of the pavement.
So I guess roads don't last forever. The two things that wear them down are weather and traffic, especially heavy trucks. And the more trucks that use our roads, the quicker they need to be repaired. Well, that fits with what the engineer on the phone said. Roads are a consumable product that have a finite life. Kind of like this pencil. Okay, so if roads don't last forever, what was it he said about extending pavement life?
The red line shows what would be a typical natural deterioration of pavement. And it has a finite life cycle to it through weathering and freeze-thaw cycles and traffic and rainfall events. And so if you don't do anything to pavement, it is just naturally going to deteriorate and start to fall apart.
The blue line shows what would happen if you did intermediate steps. So maybe you would do some preventive maintenance activities while the road's in good condition, do an overlay once it reaches a fair or close to poor condition, and then you could repeat that several times throughout the life of the road. If you do the right fix at the right time, then you not only can increase the overall service life of the road, but many times you can reduce the overall life cycle cost as well.
That must be what my engineer was talking about, and why they weren't working on my road. Because once a road reaches a certain point, it is better to spend money on roads that can be saved. The engineer also mentioned having a process to determine when to do what, and that it isn't always cost-effective to fix the worst thing first. Something about a process to manage pavements.
Counties and cities in Minnesota are doing pavement management in many ways. Some use commercial computer software, while others develop their own methods.
Pavement management can be effective all the way from a 3-ring binder notebook to the most sophisticated software The goal is to assemble the data that you need to make decisions.
It's a program that lets the policymakers decide what the quality of life they want to have for their community, and that's their job. My job is to provide that quality of service and that quality of life in the most economical manner that I can. And this is a tool that helps us do that.
Using a pavement management program allows us to use the limited resources that we have the best. And we've learned, it's been proven to us, that if we wait for things to break and fall apart, they're much more costly to replace than if we put a little bit into it during its life cycle.
Staff actually walks our streets every year to assess the condition of our pavement in the city. We have an inventory of the condition of every street in the city, when it's likely to need both maintenance and eventual reconstruction. And as a result, we're able to do a much better job of planning our street maintenance work, spread it out evenly over time, and reduce the cost to the taxpayers.
As we've seen, pavement management is helping cities and counties throughout Minnesota. Agencies are making decisions based on the system-wide view that pavement management gives them. They're making decisions based on facts.
Well, that's informative. So what did I just learn? I now know that pavements have a finite life, and the two things that wear them down are weather and traffic, especially heavy trucks. Fortunately, our city and county engineers can extend a road's life by occasionally doing some preventative maintenance, and they have tools to help them decide when to do what. That makes sense, which is probably why I see them working on roads that don't look as bad as mine.